Hey, it's Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We'll be here with you for the next couple of hours, talking local, regional, and national sports topics. But something that we wanted to be sure and mention right off the top of the show, our thoughts, and I'm sure everybody's in the Nashville and Middle Tennessee area are with Willie Donick right now, the color voice of Nashville Predators hockey, among other things. His wife, Erin Donick, who in her own right was quite an impactful individual working with a nonprofit organization dealing with kids in the Nashville and Middle Tennessee area, passed away yesterday at the age of 54 after a battle with cancer. And we wanted to make sure that we noted her notable loss and just passed along our condolences to the Donick family and to the folks that knew them. Obviously, it's an indescribable situation that they're dealing with right now.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, Mo, because we're talking about Aaron first class through and through, Willie first class through and through, the whole family and whole community is going to be trying to prop him up. And Willie, he tweeted a couple hours ago saying he's going to give it a go, going back on air today with his radio fam. Going to be shaky to start, but knows he's surrounded by love, and we certainly wanted to send our love along too. Very sad news to start the show.
Without question, man. Known Willie since he was an athlete over at Vanderbilt. Two-sport guy, man, back in the day, and has obviously made his presence felt in this community since concluding his athletic career. And again, Aaron as well. And they've got two college-age kids now, but it doesn't get any easier with ages and that kind of thing. It's always tough to lose someone, and this is no exception. So again, our thoughts are with the Donick family as they deal with the loss of Aaron Donick at the age of 54. So y'all think good thoughts for Willie here. He's going to need them. We are looking forward to our show today. In the second hour, we'll be joined by John Painter, Columbia, Tennessee native, most recently worked at Maryville College as their assistant athletics director in charge of communications, recently recognized by the College Sports Communicators, formerly COSADA. Willie, Wade, are you still a member?
Not active. That life has left me behind, but still keep tabs on everybody, and be good to catch up with John. Man, there are so many great folks from all different backgrounds and all walks of life that get recognized and saluted for the work they do. So excited to catch up with him, and now we're number 2.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
College Sports Communicators Hall of Famer John Painter joining us in the second hour. In the next segment, it's Coach's Corner. We will be visiting with Pete Miller, Summit High School wrestling coach and annually part of a contingent that takes a bunch of area wrestlers out to Fargo, North Dakota for the USA Nationals, and excited to get with Pete and get a breakdown on how some of our local kids did out there against some of the best in the country. So always fun. Never made it out there, kind of on my bucket list, but haven't quite been able to make it out to Fargo just yet, but looking forward to getting some insight on that trip from Pete Miller in the next segment. We'll also be talking some soccer, a little wrestling of the professional variety, some baseball. We'll get into NFL training camps as well as college preseason football, and a little hoops. And it is Throwback Thursday. At the top of the second hour, we'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation that we had with DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic, talking about Phoenix Suns, NBA Western Conference, and beyond here in the offseason with moves and the like. So it's a fun conversation we had with DUANE. Looking forward to revisiting that again at the top of the 3 o'clock hour.
And we still don't know what the heck the Phoenix Suns are doing, but it'd be fun to go back, and that will be a great conversation, a great throwback to visit also in like February, when we still really don't have a clue.
When we still won't know.
They're still in salary and draft cap hell, but it'll be fun to go back because he's our best shot to try and figure out what the heck's going on down there.
And you know, if the conversation was any indication, I'm not sure he knows either,
Yeah.
really. So, but we'll get to listen to that again at the top of the second hour. So, plenty to get into here over the next couple of hours. Again, as we talk local, regional, and national sports of all sorts. So, looking forward to doing that. Let's go ahead, Wade. And now that we have laid out the route, let's get going with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
All right, gang, the Thursday rundown is here, which means we wind back the clock and we give you our Wednesday results. And we start with Major League Baseball. A couple of scores on the docket yesterday. The Giants defeating the Braves 9-3, and the Astros topping the D-backs 4-3 was that final yesterday. Minor League Baseball action took them 11 innings, but the Nashville Sounds is scratching out a 14-13 win. Again, Nashville winning by a run, but taking it to 11 innings, defeating Charlotte 14-13 yesterday. Solo matchup in WNBA action last night. Good win for the Atlanta Dream. They go on the road and take care of the Phoenix Mercury 90-79.
Major League Baseball of local interest today. It's a 7:10 start when the Athletics come to Houston, taking on the Astros. That game can be seen on the MLB network. Also, a little baseball here locally as the Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against the Charlotte Knights. That will be a 6:35 first pitch. It is Throwback Thursday. They will be wearing their throwback unis from the franchise's inception, which is really a good look, even, almost 50 years later. So be sure and check them out. Again, 6:35 start over at First Horizon. Got a trio of WNBA matchups tonight. You can see this one on Amazon, 6 o'clock tip when the Las Vegas Aces go to Gainbridge Fieldhouse taking on the Indiana Fever. We'll be talking more about that one later in the show. Also at 6 o'clock, the LA Sparks go cross country taking on the host Connecticut Sun. And at 7:30, it'll be Seattle at Chicago, the Storm and the Sky. Again, that's a 7:30 start in WNBA action. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And it comes to you from Austin, Texas, where Sam Surridge of the Boys in Gold got the MLS All-Stars on the board in the first half last night, and they never let up in a 3-1 victory over Liga MX in All-Star action. It was 1-0 at halftime behind Surridge's header. They stuck on a second goal after intermission before the Liga MX Stars scored to make it 2-1, but the MLS Stars put it away with a goal late. Again, 3-1, the final MLS with the victory. And again, NSC right in the middle of it with the Golden Boot current leader getting the first goal of the night. Kind of fitting, right?
Yeah, good performance by Sam. And, it was unrealistic that it would hold up, but man, it would have been sweet if that would have been the only goal we saw was him kind of getting the game winner, the match winner, as it were, last night. But epic effort. Mukhtar came in just before the end of the first half, and Evander played a beautiful, beautiful ball to him. Mukhtar kind of just flubbed on it. Otherwise, we'd be talking about not one but two Nashville goal scorers last night as Surridge and Nahar got the start. Mukhtar came in, played well in spurts, and MLS got the win. No one seemingly got hurt. That's about as good as it gets for NSC last night.
No question, as they get ready to go out to San Diego this weekend. As we mentioned on yesterday's show, Messi did not play. He and Inter Miami teammate Jordi Alba were removed from the final MLS roster on Wednesday after they missed Monday's training session. The reason behind his absence is not known. Now, again, as we discussed, MLS rules state that players are subject to a 1-game suspension if they pull out of the All-Star game without an approved medical reason, though it's unclear if either Messi or Alba will be punished. Now, again, they've got FC Cincinnati over the weekend. So it's going to be an interesting, 48 hours or so here to see whether or not they are available for a pretty big Eastern Conference matchup there.
Yeah, matchup that means a heck of a lot to Miami, and we've talked about the log jam that their schedule's got. We talked yesterday. I kind of get why those two guys, especially Messi, would perhaps not want to take part in the game. And the real question, MLS Commissioner Don Garber is trying to, quote, manage the situation. I still got my doubts on whether or not we'll actually see any sort of suspension. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's his job to kind of manage that, as it were. And the real issue is they don't know when that information was kind of communicated, right? It seems to us that it was kind of sudden, kind of abrupt. Hey, I'm not going to be there. Maybe that was delivered internally a few days prior, in which case, it's a little more justifiable perhaps. But either way, man, those two guys were voted in by the fans too. So, that one kind of stings a little bit if you are the commish. Don Garber kind of got a decision on his hands the next couple days, like you said.
Yeah, it's going to be, as you like to say, it'll be interesting to watch him try to thread that needle, because as you pointed out, they are subject to a 1-game suspension, which kind of makes it at somebody's discretion, I guess. And, do you hit them with that going into a big game? If you don't, the rest of the league is kind of walking around with their hands up like, what? What's the point of having it if you're not going to use it? So Garber's in a tough spot, I would think.
Yeah, and he was also apparently told, it wasn't as if Messi and Alba were back in Miami, because they held training themselves yesterday as a team to get ready for that Saturday match, and it sounds like neither one of those guys were even there. So it wasn't as if they were skipping one to go to the other. Maybe they were just flat out resting. Who knows? I was kind of holding my breath too. I wouldn't have been shocked at all, if calf tightness or muscle soreness or some random ailment had kind of occurred. I was kind of waiting on that shoe to potentially drop, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. Man, and you said it. That is a big matchup because Messi has played every minute of these last 9 matches over the course of 35 days from their Club World Cup opener to their last match a couple nights ago. So I could get why he would want to rest, but man, they're in a weird spot as far as trying to navigate and make sure that the fans are happy and also you're keeping your players happy.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that one. More sad news from the world of professional wrestling. WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan died earlier this morning at his home in Clearwater, Florida, at the age of 71. Apparently, a cardiac episode claimed the life of Terry Bollea, a.k.a. Hulk Hogan. 71, on one hand, does not necessarily seem all that old, but at the same time, he's done a lot.
Yeah, and kind of like Ozzy Osbourne, that's a hard 71, especially not just the in-ring, but, a lot of the extracurriculars that come with that lifestyle. So kind of sad news, obviously, across. That's one that, obviously reverberates beyond WWE circles, beyond sports circles. We're talking kind of a global icon and a high-profile entertainer that is gone. And, man, it is, I struggle with this one, man, because, you go back to the childhood and you got nothing but fond memories, and Hulkamania is running wild. I remember crying when the Undertaker tombstone pile drived him on the steel chair at Tuesday in Texas. But then Hogan comes back at Survivor Series and beats him. And then, later in life, you start finding out a few more things about the guy out of the ring. And, man, he's
a little problematic.
Like just like anybody, unfortunately, these days. Everybody kind of has a complicated and kind of checkered story. And at least for today, I'm going to remember and at least tap into my old school Hulkamaniac and say farewell. But, yes, very, very complicated legacy that he leaves behind at 71.
Yeah, you know what they say, don't meet your heroes, right? And these days, you don't even have to meet him, I don't guess. But yeah, Hulk Hogan dead at the age of 71. Sad to report. With that, let's take a break here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Hopefully, we can brighten things up as we welcome Summit Wrestling coach Pete Miller in the next segment on Coach's Corner to talk a little summer wrestling. They say that champions are made in the off season, and we will see how that's working out for some of our local kids. So stick around when we come back.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
833.
Busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Hey, welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now on Coach's Corner between, well, I guess 12 months a year now, Summit Wrestling coach Pete Miller joining us. And this isn't necessarily about his school year program, but Pete has been a part of a Tennessee contingent that goes out to Fargo, North Dakota to take part in the Fargo Nationals on a yearly basis for, geez, how long, Pete?
For me, this is my 11th trip that I've had, dating back from when I was competing in it in high school. My dad took teams, since the 1970s. So this has kind of been the mecca of wrestling, so to speak, for us to travel out to Fargo, North Dakota. It's kind of the culmination of this previous season. So I've been fortunate to have 11 trips so far out to Fargo.
So you know where all the places are that the wrestlers can't eat then, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have to make weight anymore, so I know all the good places. So
how'd it go this year? I mean, did we have some guys, did we have some wrestlers do particularly well?
Yeah, we had 8 All-Americans overall as a state. We had 4 girls, 4 guys. It was the largest number of wrestlers we've ever had in the history of the tournament, over 10,000 entries for the tournament. So just kind of a little big tournament. They have over 50 mats set out. It's 256-man brackets. So you got to win a couple matches to be able to be held with the title of All-American, which is the top 8 in that weight class.
You said 256. I mean, Wimbledon could never. That's like double the average Grand Slam draw there.
Oh, it's awesome. It's held at North Dakota State University in their indoor football facility. So they have wrestling mats from end to end. It's absolutely spectacular.
So what you're saying is take the Ag Expo and put it on steroids, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, some of these major arenas, the only ones that can handle it, UNI, Northern Iowa, host the preseason nationals where they have a very similar setup where it's about 256-man brackets, stuff like that. But it's awesome to see how we can put so many wrestling mats on these indoor football facilities, but that's how we can have these mega tournaments and make them work in a matter of a couple days.
Yeah, Coach, I was down at MTSU this weekend for a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I'm walking in the rec center, and I'm like, okay, this is a pretty big deal, and now all of a sudden I kind of feel small in that regard.
Right. Well, this is what we want to do. We want to be able to have that type of exposure. So then once kids have competed at Fargo, you know, some big-time tournaments around here like the Father Ryan tournament, stuff like that, you know, 6-8 mats, really isn't that intimidating. We've been in a tournament with 50-plus mats.
Now, Pete, I've been to Virginia Beach for that national that takes place about a month or so after the wrestling season ends. How does Fargo compare from a magnitude standpoint to what's going on up there? Just to give me a little bit more of a feel for it.
Yeah, so Virginia Beach is divided up into your grades. So there's freshman nationals, sophomore, junior, seniors. So the brackets are a lot smaller. What we have in Fargo is based off of your age. So it's U17 and U19, and then they divide you up from that. And what we do in Fargo is the two Olympic styles of wrestling that we don't see necessarily in school. It's freestyle wrestling, and there's Greco-Roman wrestling, which is the two Olympic styles.
Any mat time is good mat time, but how does that style or how do those styles translate back to, you know, scholastic style wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. For me, it's getting kids outside their comfort zone. You know, everybody doesn't necessarily like to do throws and upper body, which is what we assume Greco with, because in Greco, you can't touch the lower body. So it's a lot of upper body wrestling. It's a lot of hand fighting. It's a lot of stuff that these kids don't necessarily like to do all the time. So I like to put kids outside their comfort zone and make them wrestle Greco. You know, you've traveled 1,000 miles across the country. You're already here. Might as well wrestle in it. And then freestyle is it's similar more to folk style, but it's a lot faster pace. You can lock your hands. The scoring is a whole lot faster. Freestyle wrestling is what the rest of the world does. You know, we're the only country in the world that wrestles folk style that we have in school. So what we're seeing a lot right now is a lot of the Japanese, a lot of these international wrestlers are coming to the United States, and they're wanting to take part in folk style wrestling, which is what we do here in the United States. They're wanting to learn opposite style than what we do, because they do folk Greco freestyle 12 months out of the year. We do it about 4 months out of the year. So when it comes time for the Olympics, these guys have been training it year round. We've been doing it 4, 5, 6 months.
That said, do you ever see a point where we go from folk style to freestyle at the high school level?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think the world likes folk style. I think if anything, it would be added. But if you know, in college wrestling for girls, it's actually freestyle wrestling. It's not folk style. So they have that advantage for girls wrestling in college. But I think folk style wrestling is so popular, I wouldn't see it replaced. I would see it more added.
Interesting. Pete Miller, Summit Wrestling coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. So take us through some of our locals, Pete. You and I were kind of chatting a little bit in a text yesterday, and we mentioned a couple of names that I'm more familiar with, but just across the area of the folks that you were closest with, who did particularly well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we took Zachary Little from Summit High School. He's a returning Fargo All-American. He wrestled fantastic. We were a few rounds short of making All-American status, but he moved up a division from U17 to the junior division, which is mainly juniors and seniors. And, you know, he's still a fresh 16-year-old kid. So he wrestled very, very well. He proved to the world that he still belongs in the top 25 in the country for his weight class. So definitely proud of him and what he was able to do. Samantha O'Leary for Summit High School.
Hold on, before we go on to Samantha. Now, you said he moved up. Now, could he have wrestled U17 then?
No, it's your birth year. So what they look at is the World Championships. Is when the World Championships occur, what is your age by the time the World Championships happen?
Okay.
So,
all right.
But that's how we was able to luck out and wrestle U17s in Vegas. Like we had talked about, he went out to World Team Trials, was able to compete there. He finished 7th in World Team Trials. So that was a fantastic job for him to be seeded top 10 in the country for this tournament.
Okay. All right. Now, Samantha.
Samantha O'Leary wrestled for the girls. Yeah. Yeah, she represented our area for the girls. She had a fantastic tournament. She went 2-2, finishing top 25 in the country. That was her first national experience with a big tournament. She's been training well this summer. She went out to the national duels to represent the girls' national duels team. So she's wanting to wrestle at the next level and show a lot of the college coaches what she's made of at the next level. But also locally, we had 2 other wrestlers from the area, Darian Vera and Carter Hostetler from Spring Hill High School. That was awesome for them to be able to represent. For Darian, this was his 2nd trip with us. He wrestled very well, but again, he caught the #1 kid in the country pound for pound, very first match out of 256. So his odds weren't very great. But again, I'm just super proud of that kid because of what he puts in. He shows up every day. He's what we call a gym rat. He's at our practices. He's at Spring Hill practices. He's at Young Guns practice with Mike Hatcher. He puts in a ton of work. And what I'm going to be proud of him is when we see the folk style season, now that Spring Hill's back to small school, do not be surprised if you see Darian Vera somewhere up close top of the podium come February for school season. And then
no pressure. No pressure there, Pete.
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves it. I'm telling you, he loves to embrace it, and that's what we're trying to teach. Embrace the opportunities. It's not pressure. It's an opportunity. He had an opportunity to wrestle the #1 kid in the country. We saw what he has, and that's what it takes to be the #1 kid in the country.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, you kind of used the phrase kind of culmination of the season earlier, and I'm kind of curious, how much of this is an opportunity for kids currently that are still trying to apply things, but you also referenced kind of college wrestling a couple of times. This to me seems like the massive showcase. If you don't necessarily already have some college plans, this is about as big of a ticket as you can maybe realistically expect, right?
No, you're absolutely right. This is the tournament where every college coach in the country is going to be there. Some of them are on the floor, some of them are standing there, and you can always tell if it's an important match because you just count how many head coaches in the college world are standing there mat side watching these big-time matchups. But again, what I love about the wrestling world is you can sit there and rub elbows with college head coaches and ask them questions, pick their brain, and we're all there for the love and the sport of wrestling.
Tell us about Carter Hostetler, who also went out there from Spring Hill, Pete.
Yeah, Carter wrestled very well. He went up a weight class, so that was kind of tough. But it's a kid that's put in a lot of work. Like I said, he has not missed very many practices. He's been in the practice room with Young Guns and Middle Tennessee Wrestling. But it was his first experience with the national tournament and going from some of the smaller tournaments that Spring Hill's competed in to Fargo. It was a big leap. But you got to get that experience. You got to get your feet wet. And for him to be on that national level, we're going to see him again over the next couple summers competing at the national level.
And again, I mentioned it earlier in the show. There's a saying in wrestling, champions are made in the off season, and getting in rooms and getting in tournaments and going out and seeking high level competition during the quote off season is that iron sharpens iron type thing. Is that right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what I've loved to see is not necessarily the results of Fargo, but seeing the best kids in Middle Tennessee area training with one another. You're seeing friendships develop. And I don't mean this now. I mean friendships that are going to develop forever. You're seeing the most like-minded, hardworking kids seeking each other out, finding wrestling rooms to be able to work out with one another. And that's the blessing of Middle Tennessee wrestling, is that we have a lot of great coaches that are willing to open up their rooms and kids to work out to one another. Me and Coach Malzoni from Nolensville found each other in the chair sitting next to each other, coaching Team Tennessee throughout the weekend. January, February, we're across from the corner yelling at each other. So I love this.
Literally.
Yeah, I love this time of year. I love bringing together the best athletes in Tennessee and seeing what we got compared to the rest of the country.
And another great saying in wrestling, if you're the best guy in your room, and when I say guy, that's not gender specific, but if you're the best guy in your room, you need to find another room.
No, absolutely right. Zachary Little, I think he's training about 5 or 6 different rooms right now. He was blessed to go up to Ohio State to train for a little bit. He went up to Appy State to train with his older brother. He went and found that competition to be able to get better. Samantha O'Leary went to a program called Ground Zero out in Manchester, Tullahoma area that's doing a fantastic job. This day and age, you've got to seek out that competition, and sometimes that means traveling a little bit. That's exactly what we're doing in the Middle Tennessee area.
And
Coach,
again,
I'm reading a press release here kind of on this, and it says 48 states are represented. But if there's an event of this caliber, 5,000 or 8,000 total entries, I'm trying to scan through this. I'm curious what 2 states possibly are missing, because I'm seeing Alaska already on here. I'm trying to figure out who are the 2 holdouts.
Yeah, so I believe they had everything except one, Mississippi. They really don't have sanctioned wrestling, but everyone else that I'm aware of, even United States territories. We had Puerto Rico represented, a bunch of the islands. So everybody, as far as I know, except Mississippi, was present competing. I know Alaska brings a big group, especially for Greco. They have a Greco focus. Hawaii usually has a really, really strong women's freestyle program that they bring in. But this is the tournament that you want to get eyes on you. This is the tournament you come and compete in.
That was kind of my next question too, is who maybe traveled the furthest. But we got Alaska, but you're kind of opening it up to Guam and Puerto Rico. Those are some hefty treks in their own right.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you're a United States citizen and maybe your family's stationed somewhere in an American territory and you're on a military base, they allow those kids to be able to come over and compete in this tournament. So again, I love it. This is what I look forward to every year.
Pete Miller, Summit Wrestling coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. I had a thought, Pete, and I lost it. But between now when these kids can kind of stand down a little bit, or what are they doing between now maybe and the start of school, which is 2 weeks? I guess.
Yeah. So for our program, what we've been doing, we always ask, what's our focus? So this past month, the last 2-3 months, we focused on strength training. So Justin Massey, one of our coaches, Blaze's dad, Lex's dad in our program, runs our strength program. So we lift Monday through Thursday through an individualized strength program that he runs. We've done a fantastic job. That's been our focus. But we're about to take, in about 2 weeks, we'll go to Birmingham, Alabama to a tournament called the Deep South Duels. You may have known it as the Dixie Duels preseason. But it'll be a huge tournament. It's 50-plus dual teams. So everybody in our program that wasn't necessarily going to Fargo, that's what they've been prepping for the last month or 2. A lot of them, you'll see them at higher weight classes, sometimes 4 or 5 different weight classes higher. But this is kind of getting them back in the swing of things, as you say. Even though this is our off season, we're training 3 or 4 days a week, and this is the next competition we look forward to.
And you don't want to necessarily make it a 12-month-a-year operation, but at the same time, if you're trying to get to the top of that podium during your high school season, just doing it during the season isn't going to get it done.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And like you had said, most college coaches want to see, everybody wrestles November to February. Who wrestles February to the following November? Those are the types of wrestlers college coaches want to go find. And so when you're wrestling in the middle of July, when most people are out hanging out by the pool, they're having vacations, they understand the hard work you've put in, the training camps you've done. So that's where they want to find those athletes to be able to consider them for their college programs in the future. Because we know good and well, to be a college athlete, it's a job. And they want to see who can handle this job, not part-time, who can do it full-time. So those that can put in the work and make their way out to Fargo are the types of wrestlers college coaches are looking for.
You mentioned that Mississippi was not represented, that they don't have scholastic wrestling. Is that right?
They just started it. They don't have a state-sanctioned organization yet.
How does that happen as we sit here in 2025, and I'm not sure how much insight you have into that, but I do know that you kind of have a national presence. What took them so long?
Well, it's football is life in Mississippi. Baseball is life. And we have everybody focused on that. It's hard for different groups of schools to accept a new sport to come in. Football coaches don't want to lose those guys that are weightlifting year-round to go wrestle. Baseball coaches don't want to lose those guys that they could be getting in December after football season. So it took the entire state a little while to get on board. But once they finally realized that they're the last state in the United States to not have wrestling, they kind of had to agree. And a lot of the presence actually in Mississippi is a lot of kids that live in Memphis. In the Memphis area, you can actually go into Memphis you can go into that area and wrestle, or you can come into Memphis to be able to train. But Memphis was a huge contributor into convincing them to hop on board with wrestling.
It's interesting that you mentioned the football aspect of this, because I was out in Columbia yesterday afternoon and I ran into a guy named Chris Holt, who said he was a Brentwood Academy multi-sport athlete and said he was Bubba Miller's wrestling dummy.
Oh, wow.
Back in the early to mid 1990s. Bubba Miller, I don't want to short him, a multiple state champion who went on to a long and distinguished NFL career after playing college football at the University of Tennessee, played with the Eagles among others. But I mean, I've heard it for years. I've seen it for years. Football coaches are pretty polarized when it comes to wrestling. Some of them swear by it. Some of them, it's like you're losing time in the weight room if you're out there on the mat. But my goodness, I don't know how much you have to see to realize how complementary a sport wrestling is to football, actually.
You're exactly right. Look at the collegiate and professional levels right now. The head coach of the Buffalo Bills was a high school national champion in wrestling. He brings in Jordan Burroughs, former Olympic champion, major promoter of the sport, and he compares a lot of stuff that they do in football to wrestling. In the college world, the head coach at Ohio State right now, he was a high school national champion. He was considered one of the best wrestlers ever out of the state of Ohio. But I know I'm biased, but I honestly think there's no sport that coincides better than football and wrestling. When I just talked about Greco, it's 99.9% hand fighting, but you have to have foot placement. You have to be able to stand your ground. Well, what do offensive and defensive linemen have to do? They got to hand fight. They got to stand their ground. So I think no sport coincides better than wrestling. I just wish a few more people would open up to it. Like we said, we let weight lift too. We left weights 4 days out of the week. We're all about it. We want to get bigger, faster, stronger, but we also want to get ourselves outside our comfort zone to make us better for whatever comes next.
Pete, what else do we need to know wrestling wise right now here in Middle Tennessee as we get ready again? I know high schools are opening up across the state here probably in the next, certainly less than a month, but what are our guys and girls doing? What do they need to be doing to get ready?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First off, I need to give a shout out to Coach Jarvis Little. He's my right-hand man, but he organized everything for the Fargo trips, the national duels. He's been the brains behind all off-season wrestling for the state of Tennessee. So he stepped up huge for us this year. But there's also a program you've heard of called Young Guns Wrestling. It's Mike Hatcher. I followed him around a little bit. I've now been coaching with him for 20-plus years. But what he's doing in the Middle Tennessee area, providing opportunities to wrestle with college kids, big-time wrestling. But we have this organization called P&L, Premier National League. And what we're doing is we're going around once a month, and we're training with the top clubs in the country. Askren Wrestling Academy, if you've heard of Ben Askren, UFC fighter, we're wrestling with those guys. But we're going toe-to-toe and not just wrestling them in a 6-minute match, but we're training with them. We're meeting with these guys once a month. And for us to have these opportunities for Tennessee wrestlers is huge. And so in about 3 weeks, we have Young Guns Wrestling Club coming down. It's Jody Stripmatter. But that's the wrestling club if you've heard of Bo Bassett, who's the number one probably wrestler in the country that has that's out there in the tech world. But all those guys will be coming down to Middle Tennessee for a wrestling camp. We have what's called the Deep South Duels. I know Spring Hill is putting a team together. Summit's putting a team together. That's going to be a big-time tournament in about 2 weeks where you're going to see a lot of Middle Tennessee wrestlers being able to put it on the mat to see what we got to get ready for this coming season. But pretty much August and September, you have a tournament called Super 32. That's the largest preseason tournament in the country. They have a lot of qualifying tournaments that we'll be traveling to. And then we have preseason USA Nationals, which will be held at Northern Iowa in October. And those are the tournaments that everybody will kind of be preparing for over the next 4 or 5 months.
Pete, I wanted to ask you, you just mentioned Bo Bassett, and I'm, reading about him and seeing he's decommitted from Iowa, and the big dogs are on him, as you might expect, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska. That kind of made me wonder, though, what does, we've talked so much about revenue sharing and so much about NIL. I'm curious, where does wrestling kind of fit in, number one, in the current NIL space? Are guys and girls getting some decent deals? And then number two, what do you kind of see maybe the future of college wrestling as schools try and navigate this new revenue sharing model?
No, it's going to happen whether we like it or not. I think it's always happened. It's going to happen. What we're seeing right now is the best are getting better, and some of the other ones are kind of staying average. You know, you're going to see Iowa, Penn State, Oklahoma State. Those big time programs are going to be snagging all the best wrestlers because they have the funding to be able to do it. But I will speak in the case of UT Chattanooga, my alumni. We were able to benefit from the transfer portal and the NIL. We got back a bunch of hometown, home state wrestlers because of the transfer portal that didn't necessarily find what they were looking for at some of these bigger schools. They've now come back home to UT Chattanooga, and hopefully we're going to have a great result as of the transfer portal and NIL.
Pete Miller, Summit Wrestling coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Pete, as always, man, enjoyed it, and I'll be reaching out to you to get some more information on the Deep South duels here in the next bit. So keep your phone on.
Thank you. I always appreciate the ability to talk wrestling. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Thank
See
you,
soon.
sir. All right. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll talk a little baseball. Stick around.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
July 24th, 1962, Bob Miller pitching for the expansion New York Mets in an effort to qualify for the Major League Pension Plan threw one pitch in the bottom of the 12th inning. Del Crandall crushed it for a leadoff walk-off home run as the Milwaukee Braves won 5-4. Crandall went 3 for 6 in the victory, which also featured future Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn and young Henning, Tennessee native Jim Hickman in the outfield for the visiting Mets. That was this day in Braves history. Those Mets were bad. They fell to 24-71 with that loss. Kind of Colorado Rocky-ish numbers, but at least they were an expansion team. So, you know, kind of comes with 44-57 is not a great number, and that is the Atlanta Braves record after yesterday's 9-3 loss to the San Francisco Giants. San Fran improving to 54-49 with that victory. Justin Verlander picking up his first win as a Giant, improves to 1-8. His first win in 17 starts this season, and that's probably about the best thing you can say about this as a Braves fan. Hey, we helped Justin Verlander get off the schneid. And it's same song, different verse for this team right now. I mean, there's just not really a whole lot to say. At least they're off today, so they can't lose. But they go to Texas to open a series tomorrow night out in Arlington. So,
the
it's
baseball, not good for Atlanta. And I mean, it still, we got about a week to kind of determine or decide, is this just going to be kind of meaningless second half of the season baseball, or is there at least going to be some plan or guidance going forward? And interesting about Verlander, a couple starts ago, he's had a couple decent outings, not Skeens level by any means, but a couple decent outings where he's pitched well enough that he probably should have picked up a win. But yeah, snapping a big streak from him, that was kind of the national headline coming out of it last night and or yesterday afternoon, I suppose. And a tough one for ATL, like you said. At least getting to enjoy a day off today.
Hey, yeah, much needed day off, I'm sure, before they go out to Texas. Texas, meanwhile, coming off of a 2-1 win over the Athletics. I almost said the Oakland Athletics. I knew it was wrong. But there was a play last night that I shared with Wade and Mark in a group text that kind of encapsulates things for the Athletics this season. Mark, do we have that?
Yeah, hold on just for a second. It's not. Give me a second.
Give you a second. Okay.
This was great. Well, I woke up to this text this morning and I was like, well, let's see what Mo and Mark are talking about. And I said, yeah, athletics. Yeah,
exactly. Meanwhile, as Mark gets that queued up, it's again Houston completing the sweep out at Phoenix over the Arizona Diamondbacks, winning that one 4-3. Christian Walker again, a burr under the saddle of his former team, driving in the game winning run with an RBI single last night, capping that sweep. And rookie second baseman Bryce Matthews did not have a home run, but he did drive in a run in that 4-3 victory for the Astros. They may have a problem when some folks start to get healthy, because again, this kid has had 3 homers in this series, and I don't really know where he came from necessarily, Wade, but he's a guy that you've kind of got to keep an eye on at the very least.
Keep an eye on, or another way to look at it is, man, you all of a sudden maybe have a little bit of a trading chip at your disposal. And you mentioned going in and getting some victories over the D-backs. We were talking, or a lot of the rumblings where, they might leave town with Merrill Kelly as well in tow, but Zach Gallen is potentially on the moving block, as it were, and we've referenced it. Houston has gone in there and pillaged a time or two, and if some right guys could get healthy, I don't necessarily agree or think that's maybe the best strategy, but yeah, you're getting some guys, you're finding some uncut kind of gems, some diamonds in the rough there, so to speak, and all of a sudden, yeah, maybe you do have a little bit of a trading asset at your disposal, because they've sold the farm a couple of different times. There ain't much farm kind of deep left to sell, so they may have to get creative if they're going to make a move this year.
This kid is kind of fascinating looking, I think. I'm sure he's getting some eyeballs as far as that goes. Houston returns home for a 7-10 matchup tonight with the aforementioned Athletics. Athletics 42-62, 20 under 500. Houston improving 260-42 after that struggle out at Seattle over the weekend with this sweep of Arizona. Luis Severino getting the start for the Athletics. He was their big free agent signing over the offseason, and he's really paid off. 3-11 with a 5.10 earned run average. Jason Alexander going for the Astros. He's won his only decision, but he's got a pretty hefty earned run average himself, 8.40. And Houston's got to hope that we get a couple of plays like this one out of the Athletics.
Lead for Wyatt. He's a swing and a high fly ball. Short left field. Soderstrom coming in. Wilson going out, and they drop it! And they weren't paying attention! And here comes retired.
As former ESPN Sports Center anchor Keith Olbermann would say, "Gah!" And
that was tough to watch, painful to watch. Kind of even for the Athletics, that's tough.
That is tough. I mean, I don't even know how you explain that. I mean, you've got two guys that are on it, and it falls right between them. But those are plays that happen when you're 42 and 62, I guess. So it just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, and you mentioned by the way, you mentioned Jason Alexander's going tonight for the Astros, not Costanza. Just want to go ahead I wasn't sure if anybody was having visions of him going. By the way, have you seen I forget what night it's going to be, the Yankees Costanza bobblehead night that's coming up soon?
Seemed like I saw something about that.
With George sleeping under the desk. I want to say it's Yankees versus Mets, and it is going to be the Mac Miller bobblehead. Last week was one that just was outstanding, and the line was wrapped around the block in Pittsburgh for good reason. But yeah, Costanza sleeping on their desk. Here we go. It's going to be on Thursday, August 21st. I'm not inclined to go all the way to Yankee Stadium for a bobblehead, but if there ever was going to be one, that might be up there for me. It's going to be fantastic.
If you were going to travel okay, so here's a question. You're not inclined. Is your sister inclined?
She's off baseball now that the Braves are so bad this year.
That's sad. But
outside of the bobbleheads, she went down for the Outcast, got me a couple nice posters and such last year. Didn't make it down when she didn't make it down for Usher. I think the writing was already on the wall. She that told me all I needed to know about her commitment level to this season. So I don't know that she might perhaps be in there. I love this. It's inscribed on the bobblehead too. It says, "I love a good nap. Sometimes that's the only thing that gets me out of bed in the morning." So I may have to check on that. Roll on up. The only way it could be better is if they were playing the Astros and Jason Alexander himself were to pitch that night.
That would be very high level right there. It wouldn't get much better than that. Who are they playing?
Red Sox.
Oh, okay.
And now all of a sudden it's like, man, that's going to be a massive game. In addition to celebrating Seinfeld night, in addition to the bobblehead, that could be one of the key games to determine the rest of the AL East race because Boston's been playing well. We've talked obviously about the Blue Jays. It's going to be a massive, massive showdown with a show about nothing kind of in the background.
You just kind of hope that things don't get testy and somebody throws a Costanza bobblehead or something like that because there could be fights just over bobbleheads getting thrown in and of themselves. That's amazing. That is amazing right there.
Yeah. Buckle up mid-August. I'm sitting on some flyer miles, and maybe I'll cruise up there. But yeah, if Jason Alexander were pitching, then we might really have something on our hands there.
Yeah. We've talked about the sudden struggles of the Detroit Tigers. They continued yesterday. Andrew McCutchen with a first-inning solo home run. Spencer Horwitz with a grand slam. And, again, former Vandy boy Brian Reynolds with a double and a run. Pittsburgh gets the sweep of the Tigers, 6-1. Detroit has lost 9 of their last 10.
Lost 9 of 10, and guess who's coming to town tonight? The Blue Jays. MLB Network. That is going to be an epic series, and Detroit kind of better get their P's and Q's in order. Again, they're okay in the division. Everybody else is so bad. But if they got any inkling of getting first or second maybe in terms of the AL pecking order, they better get to scooting right now because it is not going to get easy for them.
Another team that had been in their scuffle mode, the Los Angeles Dodgers picked up a 4-3 victory over Minnesota. But more compelling in that one, Shohei Ohtani gets a home run. It's his 5th straight game with a homer. He becomes the 6th Dodger to homer in 5 straight games. He became the 7th. He joins Max Muncy, current Dodger, and former Dodgers Jock Peterson, Matt Kemp, Adrian Gonzalez, Sean Green, and the late Roy Campanella. So Each of those guys holds the record for the longest home run streak in Dodger history with 5. The Dodgers travel to Fenway tomorrow night. A lot of eyes will be on that one to see if he can get his 6th straight and take over that record, that franchise record by himself. He now has 37 on the year, just 2 behind Cal Raleigh for the major league lead.
That was good stuff yesterday. A good friend of mine, shout out to Connor Moy, a musician here in Nashville, but also we work out together. He's out in LA doing some promo work for some new music. He went to the game yesterday and he's got a video. He hadn't even made it down to his seat yet, and he's filming Ohtani as he's walking down to his seat, and he got the whole home run, the blast, the big fly, the dong right there in the first inning on camera. So shout out to Connor, kind of witnessing a little bit of history. It'd be cool to see if he can get 6 now.
Witnessed it and recorded it. Good for him. I like that. Little history in Denver last night as Colorado blanked St. Louis 6-0. It was Colorado's first shutout in 220 games, the longest span between shutouts since 1900.
Whoa.
220 games without a shutout. Their last shutout was an 8-0 win over San Diego in May of 2024. May 15th of 2024. So, calendar-wise, it's not been all that long, but at the same time, 220 games is a lot. And the Rockies, again, we kick on them a lot, and I still think that friend of the show, Thomas Harding, deserves combat pay, but they improved to 26-76 with that win. So.
Yeah, I'm reading his article from that event last night. I mean, blanking the longest span of shutouts in the modern era. I mean, give the Rockies a little credit. They're finding a way to insert themselves in the history book somehow, maybe just not for the right reasons.
Yeah. So I don't know that that's why you want to be in, but you certainly want to break one if you are in it. So good for the Rockies getting that taken care of. We mentioned during the rundown the Sounds with a 14-13 shootout victory over Charlotte in 11 innings at First Horizon last night. Oliver Dunn walked it off with an RBI single, driving in Daz Cameron. Bobby Dahlbeck with a pair of home runs. Tomorrow's 220 guest, Daz Cameron. Looking forward to speaking with the Sounds and former MLB outfielder, the legacy, son of former Nashville Sound, former MLB outfielder, Mike Cameron. So again, 220, we will be visiting with Daz Cameron. Be sure and check us out. Tonight, 6:35 over at First Horizon. It is Throwback Thursday. They will be wearing their throwback unis from the team's inception back in 1978. And on Saturday night, they will be giving away replicas of the jerseys that they wore in 2005 when they won the Pacific Coast League Championship. So be sure and get out there for that as well. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is Throwback Thursday, both at First Horizon and here. And when we come back, we'll be throwing it back to a conversation we had not too long ago with DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic, talking a little National Basketball Association talk. So come back after this break for us and DUANE. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Used to bring on board now from the Arizona Republic, DUANE Rankin, talking a little association talk as the off season is in full swing right now with free agency and extensions and that kind of thing. DUANE, good afternoon.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well, man. Appreciate you taking some time with us. What is going on in Phoenix? So, I mean, it feels like there is as much happening with the Suns as there is with any team in the league right now, with the 7-team trade that got Kevin Durant to Houston, with the Bradley Beal, where is he going to wind up? And now your colleague, Jeremy Clough, has an article online. Devin Booker contract reaction. Did Phoenix Suns overpay for star guard's extension? And so that's not just a thought that's held nationally, but it's certainly one held there locally as well. The extension of Devin Booker catching a lot of flack. What's going on in Phoenix, DUANE?
I mean, look, you had to pay the guy. Well, what were you going to do? You're going to say, nah, we're not going to pay you this extension. I mean, he is the franchise. You traded away Kevin. You're not going to have Brad back. It's just part of the process when you have these extensions come up. Like when he was up for his max, they had to do it. Like they were in a position where they had to make the deal. Now you can say, oh, that's a lot of money to be paying a guy over that 2-year span. But if you're looking at his timeline and at that point in his career, you're going to see people making far more money than that by the time you get to that point of his contract. So it's glaring now, and because you're putting him in categories with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in terms of the number, and that's part of what's making people go, whoa, he's going to make more money over a certain stretch than Shai, the MVP, the Finals MVP. Arguably the best player in the league with him and Nikola Jokic. So that's what's leading into the argument of paying too much money. You're going to see this more. I think this is just another step in guys getting enormous, tremendous, stupendous, and some would say ridiculous amount of money. But that's where we are with it. That does put pressure on. You got to raise your level. He's not in the upper echelon of NBA players, but he's being paid like one, and so that plays into it as well.
More money, more problems, right?
That's the one way to look at it.
2 years, 145 mil. That's my Franklin High math tells me that's 72.5 per year.
That would be correct.
That's. And what SGA got 71.5 a year when so to your point, and I don't hear Devin Booker and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander often get mentioned in the same breath. So I mean, so the reaction is understandable, but your point is understandable as well. I mean, you've gotten rid of arguably the two best guys on the roster. You had to extend him. Did you have to extend him at that number?
Well, it's a bad look if you don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you could go in there and negotiate and be like, oh, we like to, but every player, when they're put in this position, most players, Jaren Jackson Jr., for example, in you guys' neck of the woods. I mean, every player, when they're put in this role, the team goes with the max. I mean, it's just something that ends up happening. And so it's part of what the league is. You don't hardly go into a negotiation and go, okay, look, do you think the player's going to want less money? I mean, Booker has all the cards in his hand. I mean, he's sitting there looking at them like, y'all not going to pay me the max? I'm Devin Booker. I'm one of the most beloved players. People, and I've seen where, obviously, and again, I can understand people's reaction to that dollar amount. I mean, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone who's lived here and seen the hysteria over the guy, it's like any other star player in their place, that's beloved, and that's where he's at. And the only thing you can do now is wait and see if he remotely comes close to living up to that dollar amount, which means championships, right? So that's what he's going to be judged by.
Dwayne, you kind of walked right into where I was going to go with that. It seems, outside of Phoenix, outside of Arizona, maybe this looks a different way. But if you kind of peel the layers back, man, it does feel like he means a lot to that franchise. We're talking about the franchise leading scorer and kind of stayed loyal with him through some rough times. Right. To me, when I first heard that news, and yeah, the numbers are eye-popping, of course, but it felt like a reward for guiding them through some tough times, and it felt like a sentimental contract, if nothing else, in regards. I'm curious, kind of your feedback there.
Well, the thing that the other part that people are, questioning is when you do get to that point with your team, it's a lot of money eating up the cap. So then what are you doing with the rest of the roster? Where are you at? What if you're in a situation where a guy is available that you could get, but you can't afford to get him because you're looking at that contract? That is more than anything where people can look at it, go, okay, when that time comes, and with Devin, and you're looking to, because at that point you probably are not going to have the same roster. You're going to be retooling it in some way, and when you're doing that, and that much is on the books, you're not going to be able to do what you could do, even if it was $50 million. For him during that, but the guy was already making that in this deal now. So that's what I'm saying. Like when you go to the next extension, it usually goes up. So that's where the 50, 70, you're looking at the dollars, but reward, that's more of, I see your point, but that's more for me when Kobe, remember when Kobe, they paid Kobe with the Lakers towards the end of his career? That felt like a reward. This is what you've done for us. You've won 5 championships, and that's the reaction of fans. They're like, yeah, he got to the finals, but Chris Paul had a lot to do with that. Man, that's where the crux of this is. Like, okay, he's done a lot for the franchise. Yes, he stuck with them. Yes, he should be rewarded for that. But have they won enough to really merit that kind of money?
And that's the other way I look at this, Dwayne. The other way I look at this is this a face-saving kind of measure to the franchise? Because, man, there's a lot of question marks about their direction and, assets that they don't have going forward. Was this kind of almost a face-saving measure? Like, well, at least we extended our guy, and at least we can hang on our hat on that for the next couple of years.
Again, I think you had to, but your point is well taken. I mean, it is looking at the group, looking at the franchise and going, hey, look, we have a centerpiece here. Even though he is not Shea, Jokic, Giannis, Luka, he's not those guys, but he's in that next tier. So yes, you had to, that's part of it too. Like, this is our guy, and we're going to ride with our guy, and that leads to the fan base staying loyal to you. I will put it to you this way: if they would have kept Kevin Durant and traded Devin Booker, there would have been mad hysteria, hell to pay. I hate to use the word riot because that doesn't pertain to this, but just put that in your mind of how the fan reaction would have been. And this is keeping Kevin Durant. All hell would have broke loose if they traded Devin Booker.
DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. DUANE, that said, where do the Suns go from here? Because, again, you did lose Kevin Durant. You are going to lose Bradley Beal. What are you going to put with Devin Booker at 72.5 a year?
Well, he's not there yet. So that's where they are right now. He's not there yet as far as that number. But all signs points to Bill getting bought out. So when that happens, I'll say if that happens, it most likely will, but just to be safe, they're going to be under the second apron. Then you can start making some better deals. Like right now, they can't. All they can do is just get vet minimum guys, and that's been part of the problem with the roster. When you have these three guys making an enormous amount of money. All you can do now is get vet guys on one year deals, and there's no disrespect to those guys, but they're not the level of player that you need to compete for a championship. And so if they can get under the second apron, which they would if Bill is bought out, then they can make some better moves and start getting some players that Matt Ishbia, quite frankly, he doesn't even know fully the value of the dollar yet, because what he spent hasn't led to them winning. So he doesn't fully understand that yet. But when they get under the apron and can have some of those restrictions off of what they can do and can't do, then you can see them making some moves to bring in some better talent. But it's going to be young guys. It's going to be a young team that got the 3 draft picks. The kid from Duke, Kamal Malawash. I'm here in Vegas, so we'll see him tomorrow night make his debut. And so I'm curious to see how he fits and what he's able to show in the summer league action. But they're going to be young. Unless they get under the apron, which they probably will, and then we'll see what they do. We're going to find out what this front office, Brian Gregory being GM, really can do in terms of making moves. You might see a roster that's, they could be pretty competitive. But then we're going to find out because right now they kind of been stuck in a certain spot where they only can do so much, so it's led them to be able to have to do certain deals. Now when you got more options, how they utilize those will show us what they are as a franchise in the front office, and then it'll translate to what they end up putting on the court.
Meanwhile, in the West, it is OKC and everybody else, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
and they've made some moves as well, extending Holmgren, did something with Jalen Williams earlier today. I mean, they are well fortified to stay in that number one spot in that conference, it feels like. But, what do you feel like the rest of the conference, and I guess no deeper than we are into free agency? This is a tough question to ask, but what do you feel like the conference looks like behind OKC?
Well, I still like Denver. I mean, Denver added a couple shooters. They added Cam Johnson. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. can shoot. Cam Johnson shoots. That's his job. Like he goes out and his job is to knock down threes. And they brought Tim Hardaway Jr. Another. So now you got shooters around Jokic, and that's a scary proposition because he draws as much attention as anybody with the basketball in his hands. Yeah. He has the ball on every possession. I can remember talking with Durant about Jokic. He was like, he has the ball every possession. He has the ball every possession, as if to say, like, no one else in the league has it every possession. And he would be correct. So I still look at Denver. I think Denver, they pushed OKC to 7. And they are just as good as the Thunder. Because just like teams can't handle Shea, teams can't handle Jokic either. So I would put Denver right there with them. I know Minnesota made it to the conference finals, but they had some help. Curry being out, an injury. I think Minnesota might take a dip. Houston, obviously with Durant. I'm a huge Amen Thompson fan. I think he's got star written all over him. And Houston has a great shot to get right in that mix. And so those would be the 4 teams I would look at. And then Lakers with Luka, LeBron. I know LeBron and the whole what's he doing, or look, he went into he picked up the option. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. But the addition of Ayton makes them interesting. Doesn't mean they're a championship contender compared to OKC and Denver, but it makes them more interesting now that they have a legit big, even though he can be very inconsistent. So there's some teams, Clippers. I mean, like you mentioned, it's so deep in the West. But those 4, I think, at the top, I don't see much changing with those 4. Which leads me to asking you guys. I mean, the Grizzlies, no Bane, Ty Jerome. Y'all feeling the moves that they've made or no?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to just jump in real quick. Here's the thing. Those 4 teams that you just mentioned, the Grizzlies are not going to scratch that level. And I do think you can maybe, especially if Valanciunas decides to stay in Denver and not go overseas, I think Denver's your only viable threat there, really, unless Houston just kind of really catches lightning in a bottle. But to answer that question flatly, the Grizz kind of aren't in that level, barring them just getting on a run of their own. And I think that all roads kind of still lead to, you might win a round or 2, maybe 2 in the postseason with the kind of currently constructed roster, but they're in a weird crossroads. To me, you've got some talent that gives you the illusion of winning now, right? But you also kind of are trying to develop some younger talent and keep that pipeline kind of going.
Right.
That's the way I handicap them at the moment.
Right. I would agree with that. The reason I bring up Ty Jerome because he started his career in Phoenix, and he couldn't find his footing in Phoenix. Hurt between the injuries and trying to figure out how to play, and it seemed like he was slow. It was like, yo, the dude is slow. Like, what's the problem? But then he figured it out, and now he's a guy that. And I will tell you guys, before you even see Ty Jerome play on a day-to-day or night-to-night basis, he has a ridiculous amount of confidence. I mean, it's somewhere else. It's like in Mars or something. Like he thinks that he is just. He can score on anyone. I mean, it's insane confidence, and you will see that up close with Ty Jerome. You're gonna be like, wow, he took that shot. Wow, he tried that.
I was gonna ask you, is that to his detriment? You feel like?
No, I think that kept him in the league when he could have been out the league because he was with different teams. Like it was OKC, I think, and then I think Golden State. I mean, he was on different squads, and then he got with the right team in Cleveland that figured out how to utilize it, and that's led to Memphis going, okay, we could use that, and so now we'll see. Because this is a different situation. You were trying to stay in the league, then you found something in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Coming to Memphis, it's like, okay, we think you're somebody, play like it. There's a different pressure he's at in Memphis than he was any other spot.
Yeah, if he can run it back offensively to what he did last year, I think, it's a great signing. If that takes a dip, I mean, it's a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of a dice roll from the Grizzlies in that regard. But if he can match that, I like what they did. Real quick, you mentioned Ayton. I'm just curious the fan reaction, for kind of one of their own right there in Arizona and obviously with the Suns. What was the reaction to him on a 2-year deal to the Lakers locally?
Well, the Suns think they have a rivalry with the Lakers. Lakers don't necessarily think it's a robbery. That's first and foremost.
All right.
But with that being said, the Suns have had a hole in the center position since they traded Ayton. I mean, Nurkic, solid player, but then you traded him. Nick Richards, solid player, but then you drafted a big, and then you traded for another big in Mark Williams. Double guy, been hurt, Malawash, rookie. So they still don't have the answer at center yet that we can see and go, okay, they can live with that guy for the next 3 or 4 years. So that's one element of the situation. The other is like, you're joining the enemy. You're joining the enemy. And if I'm Ayton, I would definitely take that. I mean, this guy needs to resurrect a career because right now he looks like the number 1 overall pick who is wasting years of talent. And I mean, you're going to be getting spoon-fed the ball between 2 of the best passers to ever play this game. I don't know what else he can have. Like if you can't rock with this and be successful, yeah.
Well, and to that point, that's kind of when when Mark Williams was a Laker for 5 hours or whatever it was before the trade was voided. That was kind of the sentiment then, right? It was like, hey, he's got some game, but you don't have to have a ton of game when you got those 2 guys finding you.
Right, and that's the same thing now. But Ayton is more talented than Mark Williams.
Right.
It's and I think Mark Williams is a really good player, and just the injuries that we fully haven't. But when he's been healthy, towards the end of the year, he was in Charlotte. He put up some numbers, but then he's putting them up in Charlotte. At that point, the Hornets are not nowhere near making the playoffs. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's easier, but in a way it is. So we need to see this in a situation where he has to be somebody for a team that's trying to make a playoff run or trying to get into the playoffs. We need to see him in that environment. Ayton has already been in that environment. He's went to a finals. So that to me that's a different deal. But it's okay. You joined in. I mean, trust me, when he shows up, first game, he will hear it, no doubt.
DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic joining us here on Main Street Sports today. DUANE, I feel like you probably did not deal with Frank Layden, but you have probably discussed the legendary Utah Jazz coach and general manager with folks that have, and obviously his passing yesterday's been very impactful across the league. What's the feedback you've gotten on him in his passing?
Well, the interesting thing, and again, rest in peace. He epitomized the 80s. Like you think 80s basketball, how it looked, how it felt, the entertainment value, the kind of brash, the loudness of it, the energy of it. Frank Layden was right there. Like he was just as much a part of what the league looked like in terms of the way coaches acted, the way they reacted to referees, the post game pressers. People think these coaches are saying something now. Oh my God. They were saying far more back then, and he was one of the leaders of that. And the Utah Jazz aren't the Utah Jazz without him. So the guy brought in Stockton and Malone. That's it. You just cut it right there. Like whatever else you want to say, whatever the Jazz now obviously didn't win a title with those 2, but got to the finals and lost to the Bulls of Jordan, which everybody did once they got to the finals. But you can just stop his history right there, and that would be enough. One of the all-time not only characters in the league, but just a fixture of the league, and that's been the whole sentiment. That the guy meant so much. That he meant obviously a great deal to Utah, but he did to the league as well, and he'll be forever remembered for that.
NBA Coach of the Year and NBA Executive of the Year in 1984. I'm not sure how many people have earned both those awards, and I'm not sure how many people have earned both those awards in the same year. As you mentioned, as team president and GM, selected Stockton and Malone, and also spent a year as coach of the Utah WNBA entry, the Stars with 2 Z's. Yeah. So, again, hugely impactful individual on the National Basketball Association. Frank Layden passed away yesterday at the age of 93. And as DUANE said, rest in peace, Coach. How much, speaking of WNBA, have you kept up with the Mercury? Do you have any professional responsibilities or any personal following of the Phoenix WNBA entry?
I don't have a professional responsibility, but I think my hands are pretty full with the Suns. But I do try to go to a couple games a year. buy a ticket. I don't do the press pass deal. They got a job to do. I'm not going to sit there and walk around like I'm working when I'm not. So I'll get a ticket. I see Taurasi. Since I was there, I go to watch her play, and of course they had Griner and all those players. But this new team they got now. When I saw they added Alyssa Thomas, I said, okay, they got something with her, and they've just built a really good team. And I think what's so crazy about the Mercury is they stuck with the coach. Ishbia has not stuck with a coach with the Phoenix Suns, but he stuck with Nate Tibbetts. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. It's just so strange how you can stick with a guy or a coach and they can build something and maybe figure some things out and get some players, and wow, you can win. So,
funny how that works, huh?
Sometimes that formula, it still works. It's still effective. So they're playing really well, and we'll see obviously postseason how they do, but very, very versatile team from what I've watched when I've watched them on film. I watched their games on television. I've watched a couple on television. But I like what I see with the group. It'll be tested when it comes down to the playoffs, but it's for fans who watched the Suns just completely melt down last year, this past season. It's refreshing for them to see the Mercury play as well as they play.
There you go. DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. DUANE, we appreciate you taking some time with us, man. Enjoy Vegas.
Thank you. Y'all appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one. And I will leave you with real quick when looking at Desmond Bain, were y'all upset that that they moved him?
It was one of those I was not happy, from a sentiment, the good memories kind of started flooding through, but I kind of sort of see, man, it sure feels like Orlando gave up a haul to grab that guy. It's almost felt like, hey, they made us too good of an offer.
Right.
So the sentimental aspect, once I kind of can move beyond that, I kind of see the logic. But yeah, it will look a little different next year in Memphis for sure.
Yeah, Bain always strikes a chord with me because I did a huge throw on him before the draft, before he got drafted. And I thought the Suns should have drafted him, to be completely honest. And did a huge story. And when he and I, because his arms are too short. Like he doesn't have a long wingspan. He looks like a football guy. He doesn't look like a basketball player. And boy, he can shoot like one. And so I saw him maybe 2 or 3 years later after that, just when I covered him playing the Suns. And I said, when the last time somebody brought up your length of your arms? He said, it's been a minute.
There you go. DUANE, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you.
All right, y'all be easy.
Thank you.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now on Main Street Sports Today is 2025 College Sports Communicators Hall of Fame inductee, John Painter. John, good afternoon.
Hello, Maurice. How are you? Good to see you. Wade,
you
nice
as well.
you.
Yes, sir. Welcome in.
Appreciate you taking some time with us, man. So, nice cap, by the way, representing the Scots.
That's right.
John, who retired earlier this year as Assistant Athletics Director of Communications at Maryville College, thus the M there. After a long and illustrious career in athletic communications, again, capped earlier this summer by his induction into the College Sports Communicators Hall of Fame, going in with friend of the show, Scotty Rogers, among others. John, congratulations on that recognition. I know that you don't do things for Hall of Fame inductions and that type of thing, but at the same time, it's really great when that kind of recognition comes, I'm sure.
There's no question. I mean, I was surprised when they called me, but I sure was. That was a warm moment, no question. So I started doing the math. I worked with 9 Hall of Famers, which you mentioned that, and in your story that you wrote. But yeah, so I was always around those folks, and I guess I just was lucky. I kept getting in a lucky spot. I was with someone that was really great mentors to me. And then, even before that, you go back to, Marion Wilhoit there at the Daily Herald, who got me started with a lot of things that I still do today, to be honest with you, as far as keeping stats and how you write stories and things like that. So very grateful.
What's retirement been like? How's your summer been?
We've been all over the place. Like I said, we zoomed down to Orlando for the Hall of Fame stuff. Then we came back here. We drove to Las Vegas. Got on I-40, keep going. And we saw Kenny Chesney at the Sphere. That was fun. Came back through Kansas City, saw friends. We used to live in Kansas City. Talking about my wife, Mary Margaret, and me. And then after that, there's a guy there, a friend of ours in Columbia, a couple friends, Jim Whitehead and Gary Marshall. We went to New York City for a weekend, the Yankees weekend. We do that every year. We see a game on Friday night, a game on Saturday afternoon, and then a show Saturday night. So we do that, and we've been doing that since about 2018. COVID caught us for a couple years. We had to stop, but we've been after that for a while. And that's when I was up at Colgate. I was up there, and so he got the idea, hey, let's meet in New York City. He's a big Yankees guy, and so that's what we've been doing. So I've been running around all over the place, no question. And I'm also helping the school over here, helping the athletics department. Obviously, with me leaving, they were shy a person, so I've been working on some bios for some of the teams, wrapping those up, and then we'll keep. I'll hopefully I can keep helping them with the bios of the newcomers. Once you get the whole season done, then you start with the newcomers. You're going to have football. You're going to have 50 new guys that you got to write bios on, and most of the teams are 3 or 4 here and there. But anyway,
yeah. Wade comes from a athletic media relations background. I was lucky enough to work some in media relations when I was at NTSU as a student. You can never have enough folks, can you?
No, enough folks. but as I'm sure Wade knows, but and so my goal now is to be that extra folk. Because UT Southern needs somebody. I know they've got people closer than me.
Hey, any school of that size, the drill, John. They're always looking for people.
100%. Because your AD is scheduled 4 home games at the same time. You're like, wait a minute, there's 2 of us. So that I'm hoping to be that kind of person, and just work games. I'm hoping I can help them over here. And help, different places. I worked games, this past year at Cleveland State, Johnson University is pretty close here. Bryan College, is not too far from here. So, and that was with me working. So I'm hoping to stay busy that way. And, I worked a couple Lady Vols games as well. They've got their staff over there, but every now and then they need a sub. So I said, I can do it. So yeah, did that. And I'm hoping to help the SEC crew, if they can use bodies, like for the championship games and things like that. I mean, they need people working credential check-in and stuff like that. I'm hoping to get involved in some of that stuff as well. So yeah.
So what you're saying is you're only retired in name only then?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I want the money, it's not a real paycheck. These kind of, sporadic paychecks maybe here and there, but we're okay with that. And yes, name only. That's right. I'm 61, so I got my plan is to keep it going here for a while.
Keep it moving. I love that, John. Hey, I want to ask you first and foremost, which is more impressive, the job that CSC does in that massive space of putting on an event like that down at World Center Marriott almost every year, or Kenny Chesney's video screen at the Sphere? I mean, I'm not even a UT fan, and I get goosebumps watching some of the clips of that show.
Incredible. I mean, it ruined it for all future concerts, okay, with the Sphere, because the Sphere goes from the video board is from back there all the way around, all the way down. That's the video board. It's almost like I forgot there's actually band members on the stage, because I'm just blown away by these visuals, so. But it was fun. And, they probably put a little bit more, they have already had a little more income coming in for those shows, and they were high dollaring it a little bit better than maybe the CSC does. But CSC thing was great. We had a great night there, and that was a lot of fun. And Tony Neely was another one of the inductees from Kentucky. So it was a good group. Alonzo Hardy, I knew him. I knew 3 of the other 6. I'm 1, so that was 4. And then there were 2 I didn't really know as well, but knew of them. So yeah, it was fun.
Kind of speaking to that event as well. What's it like, or what was it like this year in particular for you, where you're kind of being celebrated as opposed to, hey, I try and go to that event every summer to maybe learn something, see some friends, obviously, but I try and learn a little something and bring it back to my campus. How did you kind of approach that? Were you just in full kickback and enjoy mode, or were you kind of trying to steal a little nugget or two for yourself down the road?
Well, I was probably more kickback mode, seeing people, and because I always used to tell my staff, when we would go, go to, find sessions that you want, that are interesting to you, right? Maybe you want to learn how to do this better, work on your Photoshop skills. Maybe you're going to do something maybe you want to get into some photography. So find some that you want to do. But I said, look, the sessions in the hallways with coworkers from your league and from other leagues, those are just as important. So, I would kind of go to one, maybe I'd go at 1 o'clock, and then next one I have is at 4. Well, in between that time, I'm out there, going over kind of, how do you do this? What happens when this happens? And so you're always trying to, you just come back really energized. I always did. And hey, we were lucky because my administration at, Colgate and at Maryville, and at Tennessee, always supported sending me, because it's expensive. They don't have to do that. They didn't have to do it. So I always hated that some schools don't really go much, and I know it's money. But I always kind of felt, gosh, they should be here because they're just as skilled as we are, So
And like you said, I mean, it is disappointing when you don't get to see some of those colleagues, or some schools do it every other year, or every 3 years they get to go.
Well, and that's another thing. That's a good point. So every other year now, it's Las Vegas, Orlando, Las Vegas. So you'll definitely see more West people in Las Vegas, and the opposite. You see the eastern half over in Orlando's.
And that's where I was going with that, I guess, is if I'm one of them schools that's alternating and I'm a staff member there, I'm saying, hey, I'm cool not going to Orlando this year. Let me load up and just save for Vegas next year. Yeah. But that is just as a mind-blowing experience in terms of the production, putting that on. Maybe even more so in Orlando, I thought was already a big production. So just navigating the halls alone is kind of a challenge.
Because think about it. It's not just us. It's all of the athletic administrators. NACTA's there too. So we're there as part of NACTA, which I actually liked that, because I'm having worked a long time in athletics. I know a lot of administrators from all divisions in NAI. So it was always kind of cool that I could see. I'd walk by and see. So I was never in sessions with them, but I saw them in the hallways or in line to get something to eat or something like that. So.
John Painter, College Sports Communicators 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. John, you mentioned, obviously, you're a Columbia native. You grew up reading and influenced by Marion Wilhoit. You go to the University of Tennessee as a student, fall into athletic communications, or at that time, sports information up there. I don't necessarily get the impression that this is a field that people grow up wanting to get into. How did you find your way into a career in this?
Well, that's a good question. I was working at the Herald. I think I started working at the Herald when I was in the 10th grade. Marion hired me. Before that, I actually did the Pop Warner. I did the Pop Warner stats for a couple of years, okay? My next door neighbor across the street did. I noticed one day his name was in the paper, Jeff Houston. I said, wow, you write these recaps? He goes, no. I just do the stats. I turn them in. And he goes, I think Marion writes them up. So I said, okay. So then he tells me not long after that, he goes, hey, I can't do it next year. You want to do it? So that was my first start at the Herald, was Pop Warner stats. And I wanted to do them as cool as the box scores they had of the NFL. I was doing first down by run, pass, penalty. I was breaking it all down, so that was pretty cool. So I work, and then Marion got me writing, recap or stories from, maybe Columbia Academy. We'd go cover the Class A district tournament. I'm helping write some of those recaps. And I just sat there and soaked it all in with him. That was an interesting bunch, with he and his wife and, Billy Keats, showing up these games. But boy, they had a system, and I really learned that system. And my system's a lot like their system, to tell you the truth, the way I keep it. If I'm by myself, I need a play-by-play. I write it out the same way they would do it and just scribble and play-by-play, So back then, of course, Marion was basically doing the stats for the junior high and the high school. They didn't have anybody keeping stats. He was doing it, so that's kind of the way it is now. I don't know who, like Maryville High School, is somebody keeping the stats? That's a good question. I don't know. But
yeah,
it's going to be you if you're not careful.
That's right. Well, it would be nice if they paid me a little bit, but yes. So then I find out that there are these people that are, maybe Marion took me to a Vanderbilt game, and there's Tony Neely working the game, and he's setting everybody up. He's got stats and info out that when you sit down, and Maurice is at the game, and you're meeting him, and I'm like, wow, they have people that do this. This is what they do. That'd be cool. Because I'll tell you this, Maurice, and I'll tell you this, Wade. So I was right. My plan was to be a sports writer. I was going to be a sports writer, right? And I knew how Marion wrote, and I actually subscribed to the Atlanta Journal so I could read how they wrote, because I already got the Tennessean in the Banner. We already got the Herald, and I wanted the bigger paper, and I was a Braves fan too. So I had subscribed that. We had it in the office all the time. So I would say right now to future employees is you want to be a good writer, you read good writing. That's how you're a good writer. That's what I think.
There you go.
I'm constantly
Words to live by.
If I'm constantly reading well-written stories, my stories are going to get better because I remember how they kind of put that together, that, maybe verbs they use and adjectives they use and things like that. So, so I was going to be a sports writer, but then I found out, wow, that sports info kind of fits me better because I'm not cynical enough. I'm not negative enough. And Marion wasn't. Marion was a long time sports editor, right? And he never wrote a crossword about anybody, but that's not the norm. You normally have to say, hey, we stunk. That game, Columbia Central, you stunk. You played terrible defense or whatever. That wasn't really I never felt great about that. So here, all of a sudden, there was a field where I didn't have to do that. I could just say we lost. I didn't have to go into the explanations, about it. And so I was always on the promotion side, I guess, instead of the recap side. But I always had a soft spot in my heart working all these years for our reporters. I love them being around because another secret that people don't realize is the reporters aren't out to get you. The reporters would much rather cover an 11-1 team than a team that's 5-7. Okay, so
or 1-11.
That's right. They would much rather your team be awesome because then they have better readers. They have more readers. First of all,
it's a lot more to write about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So people,
what you described, John.
So many times that the reporters are out to get them. I said, well, no. If they have to report something, they have to do it, but they're not out to get them. Trust me.
John, I'll let the viewers and listeners decide which is which, but you just described the light side of the force and the dark side of the force, those two entities that you and myself have been a part of. So, like I said, I'll let the viewers decide which is which, but it is a unique skill set trying to navigate and kind of be appreciative of one, and I think that's where you can really kind of provide some extra value is having come from one background or the other and kind of having put yourself in their shoes to where they're at right now.
Yeah. And another thing what you just said there made me think of something else. Another thing you have to balance is when you're at Maryville College or I'm at Colgate or wherever, and you're working with multiple teams, right? Well, this team may be on a 12-game winning streak and these guys can't get out of their own way. So you're back, and their offices are 3 down from each other, and you're kind of making the rounds. You may be laughing over here, and you're not laughing as much over here, right? Mm-hmm. So you just got to play that. You just got to know, ooh, boy, tough loss last night, man. We're gonna get them. We'll get them next time. We'll get them. You just got to, give them their space when things aren't going well, and then when they're winning, they love you coming around, right? Yeah. So that you're always balancing that. And I grew up with it. My dad was a coach. You lose, not a great mood. Win, everybody's happy. That's just how it is. But hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, my favorite part of my job was the we won and the we lost of it. I love that part of it. Because a lot of people don't have jobs like that. A lot of people just have jobs. And our job, we were keeping score. We were trying to win. Or my office was trying to win. We were trying to have the best office, right? Mm-hmm. So we're always trying to win, and just got to shake off those losses. You hear coaches say all the time. Coach Former used to say it. My dad used to say it. They hated losing more than they liked winning. But I never was like that. I always loved the winning more. I kind of get past the losses, and they didn't eat me up, But that's why I wasn't a coach right there. So there you go.
John Painter, retired assistant athletics director in charge of communications for Maryville College, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. He's retired, but he's still got his fingers in a lot of stuff. And John, we appreciate you taking some time with us and slow down a little bit, man.
Got it. All right, Maurice and Wade, thanks for squeezing me in here. I really enjoyed listening to DUANE Rankin in that previous segment.
He does a good job, man. And there's always a Tennessee aspect, man. He worked at the Jackson Sun back in another lifetime. So us Tennessee guys got to stick together. But man, we appreciate you taking some time with us. We'll catch up.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
All right.
See you soon.
Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll come back. We'll get into the grab bag to close things out on this Throwback Thursday. Stay tuned.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier Whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It means it's time to get in the grab bag. Let's start with some NFL training camp news. And as we mentioned earlier this week, the Tennessee Titans have seen a couple of unexpected roster moves, I guess. First with Will Levis opting to undergo surgery, and he's going to miss the upcoming season. Lorenzo Carter has retired. He's going to miss the upcoming season, but the Titans went out and picked up a veteran edge rusher, Jihad Ward, who played last year for Minnesota, has been around the league for, 6 seasons, I guess. The number longer than that. He was picked in the second round by the Raiders back in 2016. 6 teams in 9 seasons. There we go. Most prolific season would have been the 2023 year that he had with the New York Giants when he had 5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for loss. But he is expected to join the team and kind of give them some depth on the edge. So I'm not sure how big a pickup it is here in the first week of camp, but it's a pickup.
Yeah, like you said, not necessarily a massive upgrade from Lorenzo Carter, not necessarily a massive downgrade, kind of a guy and kind of a spot that's going to be teetering toward the lower end of the depth chart, but you need the depth chart. This is a guy you at least want to bring in, somebody that's got some experience, at least got some chops, and then in the event maybe not necessarily banking on major services. Hopefully you're always pleasantly surprised. But in the event something does go wrong or disaster kind of strikes, good little pickup and kind of a quick address by the Titans front office there.
119 appearances, 37 starts over 9 seasons. So definitely a depth piece for the Titans on the edge. Meanwhile, a former Titans draft pick, Myron Rolle, their 6th-round pick back in 2010, had some news on his IG earlier this week. Very proud to publicly announce I'll be joining Nemours Children's Hospital in Orlando as an attending pediatric neurosurgeon. Myron Rolle was a Rhodes Scholar coming out of Florida State. Again, he was picked by the Titans in the 6th round back in 2010, but don't think he ever actually played in the NFL. He was on the practice squad of both the Titans and the Steelers from 2010 to 2012, but he is making his impact elsewhere. Again, Rhodes Scholar, med school, neurosurgeon, and now entering his residency down in Orlando, doing some fantastic stuff, obviously. So congrats to him. Figured out that there was a life beyond the pads fairly early and conducted himself accordingly. That's great stuff, man.
Absolutely, and file this under. We should not be shocked by this, right? This felt like a guy that's destined to do great things. Obviously, got the insane academic chops, and when I saw this, I kind of almost didn't really. I was very impressed, obviously, but I almost didn't bat an eye because it's kind of what I would have expected to see from such a bright guy. So kudos to him and best of luck.
Absolutely. Wade, we talked about injuries in training camp and how you hate to see them this early. This one strikes a little bit close to home for you. Gangrene's QB1, Justin Fields, had to ride off the field on a cart after sustaining an injury to his toe during today's work. Not what you want to hear.
No, not good. Dislocated toe is kind of what the initial intel says on his right toe. Be kind of curious. They got Tyrod Taylor as the backup. Beyond that, though, it is not great. So hoping that he can come back, even if he's back by the start of the bulk of the preseason / the regular season, hopefully. Be nice to get him, obviously, moving to a new location. The Jets kind of restructuring a lot this offseason. Would need to get him, or would like to see him get as many reps and as much practice as possible. Hopefully a speedy recovery.
We talked a little bit about this on yesterday's show, but in a hat tip to producer Mark, the Indiana Fever will be hosting the Las Vegas Aces tonight. You can see the game on Amazon Prime, and you may have to look twice to know who the Indiana Fever are, because they're going to be debuting some different uniforms. Indiana's Stranger Things alternate uniforms will be on display tonight for the game. Apparently, the Netflix show is set in Indiana, so it's fitting that they will be rolling these out tonight against the Aces on national TV, as it were.
Yeah,
Now,
sick
win.
news.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
We'll worry about the win later, if you're there. But for now, looks pretty sweet, and yeah, kind of timely, just enough to get everybody excited. New season of Stranger Things coming out toward the end of the calendar year here, so I'll be curious to see if, to your point, maybe it'll bring them some winning luck. It feels like a classic somebody's got to win game between my Aces and the Fever tonight. Both bad teams at the moment, but both capable of playing good basketball, so should be fun.
Absolutely, they are. I'm not sure if we know what Caitlin Clark's status is for tonight's game, but again, you can see it on Amazon Prime. It is a 6:00 Eastern time tip for this one, so be sure and check out the Indiana Stranger Things.
Ruled out for tonight.
Ruled out for tonight. The Caitlin Clark-less Indiana Fever taking on Vegas. That's going to do it for the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join us tomorrow at 2:00 right here. We'll see y'all then.